Welcome back, everybody. Marine Le Pen's far-right party winning the first round of France's parliamentary election. And later this week, the UK voters head to the polls as well. Joining us right now is Max Bergman, Europe, Russia, and Eurasia director for the Center for Strategic and International Studies. And Max, what did the snap election show? And what do you expect to have happen this weekend, both with the second round and with what happens in the UK?
Well, the vote was a real rejection of Emmanuel Macron. He's now, I think, effectively a lame duck president with 3 years left in his mandate. And he called elections, perhaps unnecessarily, but in part because the far right had done so well in Europe, in European parliamentary elections that were held earlier this month, where the far right did quite well. And I think he was sort of trying to call the far right's bluff and say, okay, French voters, do you really want the far right to be in government? And the end result is not a huge surprise. It basically reflects the vote that we saw 2 years ago in French presidential elections, where the far right got around 33 to 40% of the vote. So what we're looking at right now is a period of immense turmoil in French politics, where it'll probably resemble a little bit like the U.S., where we have divided government and nothing can really get done. It's a little bit more complicated in the French system because they are effectively electing a prime minister, and that prime minister also has a role in the executive and running government as well. So something called cohabitation, and it's unclear exactly how this will play out. This is the first round. There'll be a second round in another week. So then we'll know the final seats, but it's going to be pretty messy, I think, going forward.
Max, how would you just gauge the sentiment, the political sentiment, if you look at all of the G7 countries? You can look at Europe, you can look at what's happening in Canada, the United States. Where are the political winds blowing?
Well, I think there's anti-incumbent winds that are blowing. And I think in part in Europe, we have to remember that Russia's invasion of Ukraine sparked a real continental-wide energy crisis that caused huge increase in cost of living. And I think to the surprise of many analysts, that didn't lead to an anti-Ukraine vote emerging. It led to sort of an anti-incumbent vote emerging, and I think we're seeing that in Emmanuel Macron. In the UK, which is about to have elections on our Independence Day on July 4th, there I think we have 14 years of conservative rule. We have Brexit sort of really going awry, causing all sorts of economic complications. And we have effectively a loss of faith in the Tory party, the Conservative Party's economic management, in part fueled by the cost of living crisis. And it's going to lead to a real rejection of conservatives. So we're not really seeing a uniform trend in the far right emerging or the center left emerging. It's sort of, if you're holding the keys to the car of government during a huge spike in cost of living, it probably impacted your popularity.